Hello, welcome to the E02 Show. I'm your host, John Maloney, and in this episode, well, we all know the drill. But hey, the show must go on. But if they join, that's perfectly fine. Anyway, as for our guest, he's from Michigan, but currently lives in Miami. He's a writer, speaker, entrepreneur, comedian, and also a polymath. Impressive. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Shaun Gold.
Thank you. That's awesome. Is there going to be theme music? I think we should have theme music for that entrance.
I'll put that somewhere in the episode, in the editing part of everything.
All right. That's all I ask. Thanks for having me.
Anytime. So, how's life?
That's a very open question. Busy. We'll say busy, and we'll leave it at that.
All right then. And have you been up to much recently this week?
Sorry, have I been up to what recently?
Have you been up to much recently?
Oh, I mean, there isn't a day where I haven't. I mean, every day for me is a new adventure. So yeah, I try to. I'm a very goal-oriented person, so I try to just accomplish a lot as much as I can every day and not waste any time.
All right, cool. So tell me more about the various things that you have done or currently doing.
Well, I mean, it's probably easier if there's something that stands out that I think you want to hear. I mean, I could go on a variety of different tangents regarding all of them, just because I'm trying to accomplish a lot. I'm what they call a serial failure, just because I have no fear in going after what I want to try, and I don't really care what people think of me or what people think of my actions. I just, if I have an urge to do it, I do it.
Nice. Yeah, but more about the stuff you've been doing. Like, well, out of the jobs you've done, which one is your favorite?
So it depends. I mean, I was involved heavily in nightlife and hospitality and entertainment for almost 2 decades here in Miami. So, that used to be my favorite. Now I'm involved with startups, venture capital, screenplays, all that. So those tend to be fun too. I mean, I've never really done anything that I didn't enjoy. And if I did, I probably didn't do it long just because I've always been in the mindset that whatever you're going to do, it's going to take a lot of your time. So unless you truly enjoy it to the point where you're not going to get annoyed easily or that you're not going to quit easily, then it's pretty much not worth doing. I mean, I never had a day job. I never had a real job, as the kids call it. I never had to clock into an office or clock out or even use a clock, to be honest with you. I always just kind of did what I wanted to do. And if it was enjoyable, it lasted a lot longer. And when it stopped being enjoyable and it stopped being fun, it just wasn't, it was stupid to continue to do it. I mean, life's a very short affair. It's kind of foolish to do what you don't want to do.
Okay, cool. So, I actually want to know, what kind of an entrepreneur are you?
Um, a successful one. Or is that the right answer, or you want as far as
I don't mind how you answer it.
Okay.
If you're a successful entrepreneur, I absolutely believe you.
Yeah, a successful one. I mean, I've worked with probably close to 20 different startups, everything non-technical, and most of my clients have kind of used me for my strengths, which are content creation, connecting, strategy, marketing, branding, anything that doesn't really rely on me sitting at a computer and writing a line of code. I've probably done it, and it's been across the spectrum. Just everything you can imagine: dating app, Uber competitor, investing platform, health platform, AI. I mean, it runs the gamut. It's the entrepreneurs are kind of a tricky bunch. So you have to find ones that are professional and, more importantly, sane to work with, because the vast majority are unprofessional and insane.
Oh, yes, absolutely. So, I've heard you're a comedian as well.
Yeah, that's a recent thing. So I've been working with OpenVC. We're gonna have a link. We'll put a link at the bottom. OpenVC.app. And with OpenVC, we do pitch deck roast, which essentially is we take the roasts. We take the decks of 5 consenting, willing entrepreneurs who don't mind getting their decks torn apart by an investor in front of a live audience of investors, founders, and people that just want comedy. And the only reason I'm there is I'm there for the comedy. That's it. That's the only reason I do it. I'm the roast master general. I don't really take part in the actual, numbers of the decks or the concepts or anything. I'm just there to add the quips and get the laughs and keep it entertaining, as these usually go for about 45 minutes to an hour.
All right, fair enough. A polymath. That's a first in my entire podcast history.
I hope this isn't the second episode. But okay, I'll take it. Sure.
So what kind of a polymath are you, and what you do as a polymath?
I mean, I think there's really only one kind. It's just essentially someone that has a wide range of expertise in a variety of fields. As I said previously, I've always had a lot of different interests and I've always went after it. I think most people can be polymaths if they desire to be, except most people kind of listen to their peers and their families and their teachers who tell them to focus on one thing only instead of being naturally curious and delve into other things. So, me, I never really had that kind of resistance. And if I did, I never paid attention. I was never much of a good listener. So, I've went into so many different areas, from writing. I've written 4 books in 4 different genres, and 2 of them were Amazon bestsellers. I've written multiple screenplays. One of them is a feature film that currently has a director attached, currently has a producer attached, and is currently raising, funds and talent. Did marketing for nightclubs, hotels, pool parties, festivals, brands, and then transitioned to startups. Guest lectured at close to a dozen universities now on a variety of different subjects: psychology, consumer behavior, entrepreneurship, motivation, marketing, sociology. So I just have a wide range of interests, and I just put a lot of hours into reading and trying to become better at each of these interests every day. So, I don't have one core thing that I'm good at. I have a variety of different things that I'm average at, which I think is much better.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. So what kind of speaking you've done in the past?
So it really just depends on what the organization or university or professor, or startup or accelerator wants. Um, I've done speeches to cohorts in accelerators, specifically Baltic Sandbox Accelerator. I've lectured to everything from virtual, classrooms to actual lecture halls, 200 person plus lecture halls, spoken at conferences. It just really depends. And it depends on, what the people want, because I just have a lot of experience and I'm pretty versatile. And more importantly, I don't use PowerPoint. No PowerPoint, no prepared speech, no video, no note cards. It's more of an open discussion, sharing stories, sharing knowledge, and just trying to get people involved so that they come away a little bit smarter and a little bit more entertained than when they arrived.
Okay, cool. So if you were to start any business, what kind of business would it be?
Would that be based on what I want to do, or based on like what the market is like hot for right now?
Whatever you like.
So I mean, it's like, again, I don't really listen to the market because there's always a bandwagon, and people always like to jump on the bandwagon, never realizing that the bandwagon has no wheels and is on fire. So I kind of do my own thing. Um, I've been involved with so many things. I guess if I were to start something next, I'd say more of a personal consulting business rather than just consulting for startup founders and consulting for C-suite executives and whatnot. I'd say it'd be more of the individual. I've done a little bit here and there, but again, it geared more toward the startup founders. Um, Through the media publication I have, Utopian Journey, I'm going to experiment with it just because I already have a large following on that on my Substack platform. But I think that because I come from a background of having to bootstrap and having to just kind of, grind my way to where I want to be with limited resources. So whereas a normal person says, okay, I need to get, funding and partners and all these different things lined up, me, I just kind of like, what can I do right now with my phone at a desk with a laptop? What can I do? And with a couple $100 or $500 or $600, and just grind it out and see what happens. And that's what I've done in the past. I've never really made large like capital expenditures to start something up. I've always kind of done it with a street mentality, and I always try to tell people that you don't need all the stuff that they say you need. You kind of just need a desire to do it, and where there's a will, there's a way.
Hmm. I like that. Very useful indeed. Very.
Well, it's simple. I mean, it just if you Google how to start a business, you're going to get all these articles. All right, well, with all these check marks, and it kind of makes people not want to start a business. I feel like people should just kind of experiment on their own, see what they can do, and do it just among their peers, among their community, among their little corner of the internet before trying to scale it up to 20 million customers by year 3. A lot of good business sense gets lost in that, and I feel like we need good business sense more than ever.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and and you are also a writer at some point.
All points. you know,
Hmm.
um, all points. My newsletter goes out to 22,000 plus subscribers every Sunday, and then usually I send one during the week, depending on the week. Um, Put a link below, Utopian Journey. So that's always consistent. And then I do content for Open VC. So I have a ton of, venture capital, entrepreneurship, tech related articles that drop every week. I do content for other clients, just more of behind the scenes. My name's not really attached to it. And then I have my own personal writing where it's just, various projects I'm working on, whether it be a screenplay or whether it be another like book outline or a graphic novel. It just depends what I have in mind.
All right, fabulous. What is the best way to stay motivated?
Me personally, I think motivation is overrated. And this is coming from a guy that is heavy on a motivation newsletter. It kind of doesn't make sense if you have to find a way to stay motivated to do something. Isn't your motivation already there to find a way to stay motivated? It's kind of already there. I think motivation really isn't the word. I think it's just staying persistent and the ability to keep enduring. I think it's more about endurance than motivation. Um, because again, motivation is just very overrated. It just that's what I think it is, and I just feel like people forget that. I feel like they've been trained that they have to find a way to stay motivated, and I feel like if what they're really doing is important to them, then motivation is not going to be a problem. I think motivation comes in is when you don't want to do something but you have to do it anyway, and we've all kind of been there. Usually with a class like something that we don't really want to do, but we are society contractually obligated or obligated by.
Absolutely. What takes a lot of time to master, but is definitely worth doing?
Anything. I don't know what doesn't take a lot of time to master. Um, you know, Essentially the mastery process of anything will take years, and it involves setbacks, questioning if you're on the right path, inner doubt, inner conflict, the desire to give up that you have to overcome. It's just anything worth mastering it's not going to be easy, and depending on who you listen to and your perspective, I mean, I think true mastery is probably not in the cards for anybody unless they stick with something for say 50 years or 40 years or 30 years or 20 years. It certainly isn't something you can learn, overnight or in 6 months, or I even think in 6 years. I mean, I've been, doing content creation. I've been doing writing. I've been doing, consulting. I've been, you know, just so many things I've been doing for over a decade, and I still feel like I'm a beginner. I don't know if that's my mentality, but I feel like there's always something new to learn and always something new to improve.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Is it better to use shampoo as soap or soap as shampoo?
That's a really random question. I uh, I don't know the answer to it. Do I have to pick one?
Yeah, one or the other.
I would have to say soap as shampoo.
Yeah, I can certainly see that. Very versatile in many ways possible.
Yeah, I mean, both sting your eyes equally. So I guess you. But I feel like soap as shampoo would be much better.
Yeah, I totally agree. If you could travel back in time, which decade do you want to live in?
People always ask me a time travel question. It's funny, because my first response is like, temporally it's impossible, But I'll throw that away right now. Just to answer your question. I mean, you know, I enjoy right now, to be honest with you. I mean, it's every decade has its own strengths and weaknesses. Maybe I'd say the early 2000s when I was kind of starting out, just because people weren't, addicted to their phones and social media wasn't a thing. So it was much more fun and people were more real. So I'd say that, but other than that, there's no specific time frame that I really want to go to. I mean, I try to enjoy the present.
Yeah, I totally agree. Enjoy what you have right now while it still lasts.
Exactly, because once it's gone, it's gone.
Yep, absolutely. What was the last book you've read?
So you mean completely? Because usually with me, I have just a variety of books open that I'm constantly doing and I'm constantly like going back to. Not because I don't finish books like from start to finish, but it just I read something, I get a thought, and then I start writing it down, and then I'll get another thought and go to another book. But the last book I read from start to finish was Viktor Frankl's "Say Yes to Life."
Okay. And do you know exactly what that book is about?
Of course, I read it. I don't just pick it out of a hat. I bet that question gets a lot of your guests. Um, it's about a guy, in a book. No, so Viktor Frankl wrote Man's Search for Meaning. Say Yes to Life is a collection of his lectures that he did before he wrote Man's Search to Meaning. So that's kind of like a precursor to his book, but it came out recently. Because Man's Search for Meaning was like one of the biggest books of the 20th century published. So these were like his original ideas were formed in these lectures that later became his books. So they're just kind of transcripts of his lectures of, finding a meaning, finding surviving, finding your why for surviving so you can survive anyhow. His experiences in the concentration camp as an inmate. So, very good book. I highly recommend it, pretty much to anyone, to be honest.
Great. Yeah, I certainly do recommend it too.
All of his books. I mean, Man's Search for Meaning, Say Yes to Life, A Will to Meaning. I mean, there's so many.
Oh yes. What's your favorite type of day?
Um, One where I wake up. you know, I
Yeah.
mean, again, I come from kind of a unique background where it's not. Again, I didn't have to, clock in and and commute and be at the office at 9 a.m. to 9. Like I never did that. So to me, it was always like, all right, I'm gonna wake up. I've always had the freedom to kind of do what I want, and that's kind of how I've always pursued. I think. I think I can answer the question better of what's my least favorite type of day, and that would be kind of like waking up to do something I didn't want to do. It evokes like high school. you know, it evokes like it brings you back to those kind of days. But ever since like those days have been gone, it's been kind of like I wake up and my schedule is kind of set by myself. With what clients I work with, what podcasts I go on, what media I do, what I write, what I read. So yeah, I mean, I don't really have a particularly favorite type.
It's all right. That's cool. Versatility is always great. Would you rather speak all languages or speak to animals?
All languages, of course.
All right then. Fabulous. What is your favorite quote?
That's a tough one. That is tough. I've kind of have ingrained thousands on my brain from reading all these books and from doing all this writing. Um, I'll just give you the one that comes to the top of my head from Seneca. For as long as you live, keep learning how to live.
Hmm. All right then. Nice, nice. Great quote. What movie would be greatly improved if it was made into a musical?
That implies that the movie is bad. Are we talking like a bad film that would be improved, or an okay film that should be improved?
Any film.
What kind of musical?
It doesn't matter. It has to
Would it
be
have a
a
live?
music.
Would it have a live orchestra?
Of course. Every musical has
Uh,
one.
okay, but would it have like a ballad in the live orchestra? I'm trying to think.
I mean,
uh,
whatever works, it works. Anything can happen.
so I don't know. American Ninja 2. I mean, I'm trying to think of a movie that's fun but not good, but that is a guilty pleasure. So, the 1985 or 1987 classic American Ninja 2, The Confrontation.
Yeah. Yeah. What improved your life quality so much you wish you did sooner?
I guess I start professionally or personally.
Either.
Professionally, I think I should have started doing like working with startups and venture capital at a much earlier age. Even though I've always been a lifelong entrepreneur, I didn't really get into the venture scene until a few years ago. Startups I've been working with as a consultant for about 7 years now. That's about right. So probably earlier. The thing is, I was just very focused on what I was doing with my life as being just kind of a sole goal, and that was kind of being the number one person in nightlife in Miami, and that's kind of what I put all my energy to. So when that kind of waned for me, that's when I started expanding other options. So that'd be for that. And then personally, I stopped eating red meat a while ago. I think I should have stopped eating it sooner because I don't miss it, and my health has kind of improved, my energy levels and whatnot.
Fabulous. In terms of OpenVC,
Yes.
what makes it stand out from all the other platforms out there?
So essentially, there aren't that many, which is good. Um, it's free. It's transparent. If you're a founder looking to raise capital, you can browse over 4,400 venture capitalists by sector, industry, investment thesis, check size, geography. So it's very useful. And two, I had all the content. So the content is extremely entertaining, somewhat funny, and very useful.
That's a great way to stand out, that's for sure.
Well, you have to be. I mean, nobody wants to be unique. They think that individually they're unique, which they're right. But when it comes to a business, you have to offer stuff that nobody else offers. So, for instance, when we do the pitch deck roast, nobody does that. And as I say, they come for the comedy and stay for the knowledge.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. What has been the most interesting thing you've seen online?
I guess the pictures from the James Webb Telescope.
Oh yes. Oh yeah, I've actually seen that one. It looks so mesmerizing in my opinion.
Yeah, so that kind of stuff I gravitate to, and not toward like, did you see what the latest TikTok challenge is? Like I tend to gravitate more toward the true wow factor than the just like the stupidity of something that's very vapid.
Yeah, absolutely. Where do you see yourself 20 years from now?
I've always hated those questions whenever anyone asks them because I don't know where I see myself 5 hours from now. Am I here at the computer? Am I out to eat? Nobody knows. Um, I mean, it's too hard to answer because, especially for someone like me, because, things change hourly for me. I always get emails coming in and texts coming in and WhatsApp coming in with different opportunities and whatnot. So it's very hard for me to correctly answer with any accuracy a year from now, let alone decades from now.
Yeah, you know what? You make a very good point. Anything
It's
can
it's
happen.
tough.
Yeah, absolutely. What restaurant do you eat at most often?
To be honest, I don't have one. Um, I really don't, to be honest. I usually do restaurants for like meetings, you know. So I leave it to whoever is inviting me to pick. So I don't really have a personal one that I go to. Just because I don't. Not since before the pandemic. I feel like before the pandemic, maybe a little. Years ago, I probably had one or two, but ever since the pandemic, I kind of just stopped, and don't really miss it.
Okay, that's cool. Understandable. If you were told you only had 6 months to live, how would you spend that time?
I mean, that's kind of how I spend every day because I'm very, very conscientious of my time. Because most people think they have, you know, infinite time when they don't. No one does, but that's how people live everywhere you look. I mean, me, I would just do this. I would try to finish my work faster. To be honest, I would try to get more out there with all the creative stuff I'm doing, with all the things I want to achieve. I would try and get them out faster, but that's already kind of how I work. I mean, I work 7 days a week. I'm always thinking or writing or trying to, make something happen. So, it could be 6 months, 6 days, 6 years. I mean, nobody knows. I just try and keep going, as accomplish as much as I can.
Yeah, that's a great way to live life. Use it wisely.
Exactly.
Oh, yes. If someone wrote a book about you, what do you think its title would be?
What would I call it or what would they call it?
What do you think its title would be? Like, I don't know.
Um, Pandemic Polymath. Rolls off the tongue.
Yeah, it kind of does roll off the tongue. Pandemic
Pandemic
Polymath.
Polymath. Yeah,
Oh, yes.
Pandemic Polymath. I think that'd be good. Or if you want to do a biography on my nightlife, my nightlife adventures, I'd call it "Where There's a Door, There's a Way."
Great. What is the best pair of shoes you have ever owned?
Yeezys.
Of course, it's always Yeezys.
Yep, very comfortable.
And stylish, too.
Exactly.
Nice. Did you have had any role models growing up?
Of course. I still have them now.
Okay, that's nice.
I think we all need to have them. I think we get this we get the sense that we don't need them anymore. I think we need them now more than ever.
Oh, yes. I totally agree with that. So, if you had to choose between skydiving, bungee jumping, or scuba diving, which one would you choose?
Scuba.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. I went scuba diving back in Recife during my holidays to Brazil because just visiting family. But yeah, that was a good time.
And it's easy. I don't got to get strapped up or anything.
Exactly. You just need a breathing tank, a snorkeling mask, and down you go.
Exactly.
Yeah. If your mind was an island, what would it look like?
An archipelago.
Okay. Interesting. Straightforward, but yeah, very intuitive. And that is all we have for this episode. It's great having you here, Shaun, talking about OpenPC and wow, a lot of things. So much I can't keep count of it. It's been amazing.
Thank you. We try to keep it varied.
Anytime. And until next time, stay tuned for more.